Alright, it's been quite a while since I posted anything on Dungeons and Dan, as you can tell. Sorry about that. Mortgage, dogs, work, pandemic, got kind of busy. Today, I'd like to discuss and review Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Not my cat, Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And the awesome book that Beetle and Grimm put out. The biggest thing with Pathfinder 2nd Edition is the sheer amount of customization. The amount of combinations between one class and one race is just staggering. Me and 10 of my friends could get together and we could pick the same race and class and not make the same character unless we really tried and plan that out well ahead of time. So many other videos have gone into just how many combinations there are. I'm not going to math it out. It's a lot. The lore is amazing. The world they've built is just huge. They're finally starting to show Arcadia, Mwangi. Really hoping for Kazma on here sometime soon. But it's just big and keeps getting bigger and more in detail with the lore. So if you're a lore buff like me, you'll love Pathfinder. If you like detailed characters where you make choices and consequences every level, you'll love it. The drawbacks. One, it's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's not pick class, race, background, and go. If you want a quick jump in game, Pathfinder might not be the route to go. D&D's great for that. Pathfinder, you really want to have the time to plan your first character out, just because of the sheer number of choices. For me, I love that. I love choices. Other people, I can see why they wouldn't. Also, they keep putting out amazing new content, not in the directions you'd think. Gnoll is a playable race. If you want to play a Gnoll bard while I'm playing a dwarven inventor in a wheelchair named Quincy, we can make that work. And I think that's amazing that they keep putting out things like new races, interesting new classes, interesting options for people. If somebody is in a wheelchair, they might want to play a wheelchair-bound character. And I'm glad they give those options. And exploring their world with respect. I really enjoy it and can't get enough. Drawbacks. As I mentioned, Pathfinder's a more complicated game. With that level of detail and customization comes the consequence of complication. And that can be a turnoff for some people. Two, and this is a minor quibble, both their standard character sheet and the truly awesome Beetle and Grimm's one, which I will show you. It is pricey, but worth the investment if you get serious about Pathfinder. My wife got a rogue one. I really could have used some more room for languages and lores, especially since there is a linguist character. I've got a character I'm playing, a linguist. I've got almost 40 languages. I've had to make a whole new sheet for it. There is not a supplementary printout sheet for additional lores and languages. And I really wish they would make one, even if it's just a quick one-off print sheet as an addendum to other sheets for additional lores, languages, campaign notes, what have you. I would love that. 2 or 3, don't want to lose count. Adventures. An adventure pre-made campaign in most systems is going to cost you about 50 to 60 bucks. Not in Pathfinder. They put out monthly adventure path magazines that are amazing and wonderfully well written, but to get a full campaign you have to have 6 of them. And that ends up costing you roughly $150. They are starting to address this and starting to put out hardcover compilations that run about $50. So, and here's hoping they continue. The first ones are due soon. I forget the exact date. I should have prepared that better. Um, but with that fix incoming of releasing after a delay a hardcover compilation, that should make it a lot easier to get into Pathfinder and actually run a campaign. As I said, cannot get enough of the system. I've got a Ratfolk Investigator in one campaign, I'm running another campaign. It's amazing, just the sheer level of choice, consequence, and detail. I've heard people complain about how there are rotations similar to an MMO, and they're right for some character builds. If you're playing an investigator, you're going to want to study your opponent before you strike for the bonus damage. It's a no-brainer. Other characters, Druid that I've played, there were rotations I could do, or there were other things I could do, and it depended on the combat, it depended on what was going on. Sometimes it was best to wild shape and double strike. Sometimes it was better to cast a spell. So the rotation complaints, that's all in the character and build. If you don't like rotations, stay away from Swashbuckler and Investigator for sure, and possibly Barbarian. Other than that, the sheer amount of options you have every round with your character, it's interesting and fun. And I really do love it. And here's hoping you give it a shot as well if you already haven't. It has been out a bit. And with Secrets of Magic out, and Guns and Gears, and Gods and Magic, the options keep getting better. Soon, Book of the Dead will be releasing with options for undead player characters. Then Knights of Last Wall with options for undead hunting knights. So, good to see they're on both sides of that. And I am excited. It is a fun and amazing time to be in the hobby. Paizo's making some great contributions with other companies. They're getting into the digital marketplace with several different, I forget the names off the top of my head, I should have made notes, companies. I'm not into digital e-gaming. I know some people are, especially with the pandemic going on. If you are into, or forced to, run your games digitally, they're doing some great partnerships there. They've done a partnership with Beetle and Grimm's, if you're feeling fancy. I am always feeling fancy. And they've got a lot of miniatures out, both through WizKids and a few through Reaper. It's a great time to get into it now. There is plenty of adventuring material and character options available, but we're not to the point yet where you're just lost going, oh my god, so many options. Really, if you haven't yet, check out Pathfinder 2. Dungeons and Dams, signing off.